Hello, and welcome back to the EDC Squirrel. Got a new knife for you guys. I did an unboxing on this. Unfortunately, the recording got screwed up, so we're just going to go right into it and show you this new knife I have that I'm really excited to share with you. This one is the Kansept Mini Kryo, and this one comes with not only a Damascus blade, but lightning strike finish and the lightning strike titanium finish. Really awesome and beautiful look. I actually expected it to be more blue, but I'm really liking this different color. And it's almost like I got two different scales because there's a lot more blue on this side. It is a drop point blade, Damascus again, frame lock, and you have a rear flipper for deployment, as well as thumb holes. Now, this has a very, very positive detent when the blade is closed, that when I first got the knife, it actually caused me a little bit of trouble to do the spidey flick on it. But after playing around with this for a little bit, it's finally seemed to open up and loosen a little to the point of where I can now spidey flick it without too much of a problem, or reverse flick it. Either way, it's got a serious detent on here, which is really nice because there's no way that this blade is falling out anytime soon just by shaking the blade. Now, this one again has the Damascus blade, or I'm sorry, yeah, Damascus blade steel. And an interesting about the steel on this one is that Kansept uses, well, first of all, on a lot of Damascus blades, the most common thing to use would be a high carbon steel, and then layer it with a stainless steel. And then after, I don't know what processes they do, but they bring out the differences in the steels, and that's how you get the pattern here. Kansept does it a little different. And what they do is they use two different types of stainless steels. And I believe it's a 9CR and a 440HC, if I recall correctly. I think that was according to their website. Why is this not focusing? I think it was according to their website. But a 9CR and a 440HC in order to create their Damascus, which those are two stainless steels that they use. And the patterning that they do, absolutely gorgeous patterning on the blade. But having two stainless steel blades means that its anti-corrosion capabilities are much better than your standard Damascus blades. And I really, really like that. I think, now I know there are people that are going to say that they're more pretty than performance capable, but when you have two stainless steel blades, I think that enhances or two stainless steels using the blade, I think that enhances the capabilities actually quite a bit over your standard Damascus. And this is no doubt going to be a very, very usable blade. Other things about this knife, other than the very beautiful lightning strike titanium scales, is you do have a pocket clip that's done in the same way. However, unfortunately, it is not reversible. So if you're left-handed, like to carry in a left-handed way, you might have some trouble with that. Again, a very positive detent on that. One thing I did notice when using the thumb holes is that because of how strong that detent is, my hands seem to be a little on the oily side. I know I washed my hands earlier, but it can make this pretty slick. We're just gonna mention it now. I think it's because what I did is I did wax the blade on this, and I have a little bit of wax on my fingers from touching the blade, so it can be a little on the slick side. But one thing I noticed, and I mentioned it before, is the detent's really strong. And I think part of what I was having trouble with when trying to use the thumb holes for deployment is that also when you're trying to reverse flick it, I noticed that when I try to get my finger in the thumb in the hole right there, one thing I seem to inadvertently do is I start to apply pressure on the frame lock, and that is something that I had to be a little bit more conscious of and trying not to do, is applying too much pressure on this, because I would apply pressure on it without thinking about it, which would make this extremely difficult to reverse flick. But now that I'm more conscious of it, now that I've had a little bit of practice with this knife, it's a little easier to do. There we go. It's a little easier to do. And also, just working the knife repeatedly, either with the thumb flicking or the rear flipper, I think that's kind of breaking it in a bit and making that easier to do as well. Because I remember when I first got this knife, it was extremely hard to do a reverse flick, or even thumb flick for that matter, because I still do the same thing. Even if I get my thumb in the hole, and you notice where my fingers go, I'm kind of pressing down on that frame lock in order to maintain a grip on the knife. And without thinking about it, I would basically lock the blade in place. And as you can see, it made it a little bit more difficult to remove or to open up. But like I said, it is breaking in rather nicely. And I'm finding it much, much easier to do without having to think so hard on it. So that's one thing you might want to be aware of when you first pick up this knife. And like I said, I did apply oil to the pivot and wax to the blade. It's something I always do with every knife that I get. And I noticed that it tends to make it a little on the slick side. Now, handle-wise, again, this is the Mini Kryo. They do have a bigger version. This one, let me get with the measurements here. This one, overall length is 6.64 inches. There we go. Blade length on this is 2.9 inches. And I got the Mini Kryo specifically for that. The fact that it was under a 3-inch blade, because blade lengths where I live are restricted, so, or tend to be restricted depending on the location. So I generally try to stick with knives that have 3 inches of blade length or less. The material, again, is Damascus drop point. It's a flat grind. And again, the scales are titanium. They say blue, but mine is more... Oops, I'm stabbing my little mascot here. Most of the Lightning Strike I see has a lot more blue, but I'm really liking this almost coppery look to it. I do have a lot more blue here. So the knife you get is going to differ greatly from knife to... The looks are going to differ greatly from knife to knife. I did not have a chance to see this before I got it, but I am really loving the look of this. I am liking the color. It's only 2.68 grams. I'm sorry, 2.68 ounces, 76 grams, so relatively light to carry. Designed by Kim Ning. And let's see here. I can get full gorilla grip on this. Pretty easy. You got some jimping on the back of the blade. Kind of aggressive, not too bad, but allows me to get a good amount of control for some fine cutting. You have a decent belly on this blade. For you got quite a bit of cutting surface with this drop point blade, and it's just utterly gorgeous to me. No backliner. You do have a couple back spacers here, and the frame lock is pretty easy to access. I don't feel like I'm having to dig my nail in to really actuate that lock and unlock the blade. You get a generous enough cutout here to where it's relatively easy to close the blade. The handle is somewhat neutral. You got a little finger cutout here, and the rest is relatively neutral. A little bump on this here. So carrying this in different grips is still pretty comfortable. The pocket clip on this is pretty flat, which also makes that comfortable. I don't really feel it too much in the hand. In fact, if I'm holding it the way I would normally hold a knife, which is something like this, I can feel it on the back here, but it's not irritating in any way. It's actually quite comfortable. I do love how they make the titanium clips like this where they're straight and flat, because there's just less chance of snagging anything if you're carrying this in your pocket. Now, okay, let's see how sharp this blade is. This is sharp, or this is sharp. This is right out of the box, essentially. Other than oiling the pivot and adding some wax to the blade, I haven't done anything to the edge of this knife. I haven't done any stropping or sharpening or anything like that. Haven't even used it up until now. So we get to see how this is going to be right out of the box. That bit immediately into the paper. Feels nice and sharp. And that's all along the edge of the blade. I didn't feel any burrs when I first looked at it. Again, that's straight out of the box. And I can even, we'll try to bevel the paper. I know it's not easy to see, but I can actually bevel the paper a bit. And I don't really see much in the way of tearing, if any at all. That is pretty darn sharp out of the box. Okay, now I'm just being weird. There we go. Anyway, that is pretty sharp out of the box. Did not really need to do anything to that edge. Action-wise, the blade moves really nicely. Very smooth action. That was before I even applied oil to it. Only reason why I applied oil to it is basically just to help prevent corrosion in the pivot area. And also to help with any wear. And that's on any knife. I'm always going to put a little bit of pivot oil at the pivot just to prevent corrosion and to assist in keeping the wear to a minimum. I do believe there are ceramic coated bearings in here. It just, the way it feels, there's definitely bearings in the pivot. I don't see, yep, ceramic ball bearings. Okay, there you go. So they do mention it on their website. I cannot get, a very beautiful knife. I cannot get over how beautiful this knife is to me. I know Damascus is going to be a yay or nay for a lot of people. Personally, if done right, I really love the look of Damascus. I own several Damascus blades, but nothing like anything from Kansept, where they use the two stainless steels in order to create their blades. Most of the Damascus steels I have are of the high carbon and stainless steel variety, and nothing against that at all. I think they're absolutely excellent blades. So having something like this where there's two stainless steels that make up the blade, it's just, to me, so nice, because it just lessens the possibility of any corrosion. It's much more corrosion resistant than your typical Damascus blade. It feels really good in the hand. I love the look. It's probably my fanciest looking knife yet. Definitely won't be my last. I love the titanium. It keeps the weight down, and you don't really have to worry about scratches so much and things like that. I don't know how well this lightning strike finish is going to hold up. I've only had it in my pocket today. I carried it around today, and I didn't really have anything else in the pocket. I don't believe I'll run into any trouble really with any scratching, but that's, only time will tell with that. With the knife closed, we can see that the blade is perfectly centered in there. I really don't have much in the way of complaints with this one. Again, my only, and this is a very minor issue, because again, it's something that needs some time to break in, and a lot of knives, especially liner locks, I feel could use some breaking in time. It's just that detent. That detent was uber strong when I first got this knife, and so I've actually been making a point just to fiddle with it every now and then, use the back flipper, and just give it a little workout, I guess you could say, and try to break that detent in a little bit. And because of that, like I said, it has become a lot easier to reverse flick and spidey flick it, yet the detent still remains super secure, and I don't have to really, I don't feel like I really have to worry about the knife opening up on its own. Where I've had knives do that before with a little bit of a shake, they'll pop right out. This one, super strong detent, which I really like, and it is getting easier as I break it in. So again, this is the Kansept Mini Kryo. Absolutely stunning. There's also another one similar to this that I do want to get, because I do have a accipiter, and it was actually one of the knives I was thinking of getting before getting this Mini Kryo. Is I wanted to get an accipiter in the same styling. I've done a video on the accipiter before, and it's become one of my favorite knives. And I really wouldn't mind having another one done, also with the lightning strike titanium, and quite possibly also with a Damascus blade as well. But already having actually two accipiters, I have this one and one with aluminum scales, I just went ahead and decided I'll go with the Mini Kryo, since I didn't already have one of those knives. But after having seen this, now my desire for a similar accipiter is just getting stronger and stronger. So hopefully soon in my future. Now these ran, I got this one from Knife Center, and it ran $179.99, which is about the same where you're going to find it everywhere else. I know they have these available also on Amazon. If you're curious about the knife, I'll go ahead and throw a affiliate link down below in the description, so you can go ahead, and if you want to nab one yourself, I think they still have them available at the time that this video was created, but they are limited. I know even on Kansept's website themselves, I think they only had like maybe 5 or so at the time that I made this video, last I checked. So if you want to get your hands on one, you're going to have to get your hands on one pretty soon. But super impressed, really liking knives from Kansept right now, and I can't wait to check out more of their offerings. Right now, this makes this the third Kansept I have. I have the accipiter, I have this one, and I also have a mini, or a little Main Street. I don't think I've done a video on that yet, that I actually won in a giveaway. That'll probably be one of the next videos that I make soon, because that one is pretty neat as well. And that's pretty much it. Again, I'll put a link down below if you want to check this out on Amazon. Thank you so much for all your support. I hope you're finding these I hope you're finding these videos enlightening, educational, or just fun to watch. If you liked what you saw, please do drop a like down below, and if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and then you'll be notified as soon as I drop a new video. But thanks again for all the support. You guys have been amazing, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.